Over 80% of heart attacks and strokes are not plaque, cholesterol, or calcium that's blocking your arteries. Most of the time when someone has a heart attack or a stroke, they die from a clot. This is not the same, and it's very different than a buildup of cholesterol or calcium or plaque. If someone told you the reason why you die is your arteries fill up with cholesterol, they are lying to you. That's usually not what kills you. It's the clot that can form in less than 5 seconds. What we're going to do today is we're going to really dissect a clot and understand what it is and give you a solution to prevent clots, because a clot is a very necessary thing. A clot is a response to injury, and the way it's supposed to work is the body is supposed to form a clot, fix the hole in the artery, and then dissolve it. The real problem that we need to focus on is the hole in the artery, but the biggest trigger to a clot is not cholesterol. It's not calcium, number one, and people know this is the inhalation of smoke from cigarette smoke. And now your arteries are exposed to all these chemicals, and it's going to create inflammation. Also pollution or being around any type of chemicals in the environment can do that as well. A solution is not to do vaping. Okay, you need to just stop. Smoking alcohol is another one. You're drinking alcohol. It's considered a poison to the liver. It gets into the bloodstream, and that also can create problems in the inside of the arteries. Believe it or not, birth control pills or hormone replacement therapy is another thing that can actually affect the arteries because of the hormonal interaction, increasing the risk of a stroke and heart attacks. Then you have stress. And this is an interesting one because there's something called the broken heart syndrome, where someone has a loss of a loved one and the risk of having a heart attack goes up by 2,000%.
Triggers the clotting action. Anything that increases stress can increase the clotting action also. Surgery, okay, surgery is a very stressful thing to the body, and endurance sports marathons, it's a tremendous stress in your body, and refine starches, that's just like pure inflammation going through your arteries. And this is why diabetics are at 4 to 5 times the risk for getting clots, not just in the heart, but in the brain as well. The last thing that can trigger these clots is an infection. It could come from an infection in your tooth, from a failed root canal where you have this abscess that's leaking bacteria into the body, or it can come from some other chronic infection. I think for most people it's going to be the high levels of sugar that's flowing through their bloodstream that's creating the problem because of their diet, and it makes their blood really sticky. Also, it chronically elevates inflammation. Inflammation is one of the most potent things for clotting. There's another trigger for this clot as well, an excess amount of calcium in the arteries. And let me explain this, because in certain studies involving postmenopausal women who take high amounts of calcium for their bones, they have an increased risk of getting this clot, because calcium is involved in over 15 different clotting factors. I'm talking about excess calcium. Excess calcium is just not good for the heart. It can cause excessive calcification in the soft tissues, especially in the arteries. As the antidote and the thing that kind of counters this clotting, there's 2 things that are very, very important to know. Number 1 is vitamin K2. The purpose of vitamin K2 is to keep the calcium from building up in the soft tissue. K2 is all about keeping the calcium out of the arteries, and guess where vitamin K2 comes from? Dairy butter. It comes from fatty foods, the exact things that they tell you to avoid because of the cholesterol. You should always take a vitamin D with vitamin K2 simply because vitamin D is super important as an anti-inflammatory in the inside of the arteries, and it works together with vitamin K2. Another very important, calcium regulate prevents calcium from going inside the tissues. Magnesium helps prevent arrhythmias, especially atrial fibrillation, which by the way causes an arrhythmic problem in the heart that can cause pooling of the blood that can increase your risk of getting a clot. What turns down clotting? The big one is something called nitric oxide. Here are some things that can increase nitric oxide. Vitamin D. L-arginine is an amino acid that can help nitric oxide, and one of the best sources of L-arginine is meat and liver, the exact things that they tell you not to eat. There's something else that increases nitric oxide: sunlight that can penetrate deep into the body and help increase nitric oxide in the inside of the arteries. This is why getting sun is so valuable in so many different ways, not just vitamin D, but other ways as well. What's happened since 1980 is we become sunphobic because We're afraid of getting melanoma, which is an absolute lie. You want to get regular doses of sun, very therapeutic to the heart. Other things that can help you is polyphenols in natural herbs and vegetables, vitamin C, omega-3 fatty acids naturally. Thin the blood also. When people consume leafy green vegetables that are high in vitamin K1, they think, oh, that's a lot of vitamin K1 that's going to cause clotting. It's going to thicken my BL, but no, it's not going to create thickening more than normal. It's just going to bring you to a normal level. It's not going to create excessive amount of clotting. Fasting is another potent way to help reduce the risk of clotting. Fasting is also anti-inflammatory. Ketones, getting on the ketogenic diet, a low-carb diet, is also anti-inflammatory. To your arteries, regular exercise, and I'm not talking about like high stressful exercise where you're doing marathons, but regular, good exercise with good recovery is extremely important in preventing this clotting. Garlic and onion, super important in preventing clotting. As far as supplements go, there's 3 that are really powerful. Nines is a natural enzyme that helps prevent clotting. You also have another enzyme called serapeptide, that's an extract from silkworms, and then broline from pineapple. When you take those enzymes to help reduce clotting, and I'm not even recommending you take them unless you have a clotting problem, but they're a great natural source. That's not endorsed by Big Pharma because they're competitive. You want to take those on an empty stomach so it can actually work on the factors in your blood. That's maybe too excessive now, the basics of what really is behind most heart attacks and strokes. Follow the advice. I hope you took notes and implement the data that I showed you in this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.